Kaboom, yeah, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just finish to type this message because we might spontaneously have a guest joining this wonderful podcast that I decided to put my webcam on and to record spontaneously. But that's, to be honest, kind of my thing. I don't really have schedules on my podcast, doing several things at the same time. Let's see how this works out. Turn down the music a little bit. Welcome to the Surrounded by Details podcast with me, Stevo. I am your host. I'm gonna adjust my mic a little bit. And, whoa, my face is big in the screen, not used to webcams. Kaboom. But sometimes you gotta work with what you got. There we go. And I repeat myself, welcome to the Surrounded by Details podcast with me, Stevo. I am your host / your photographer in need. You are listening to my voice as always, and I'm a little bit confused. There you go. So, first of all, as always, thanks to the Dreamcatcher Hostel Bar and Cafe for supporting this podcast. It's a great place if you want to stay in Bangkok or if you just want to have a lovely, lovely drink and enjoy good people. Make sure to check that place out once you are in town. And also, I want to give a shout out to Eastpak for supporting me with their bags and suitcases that make my travels a lot easier. What are we gonna talk about today, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, sure thing. Yes, as it looks like we will be joined by a guest in a few minutes here who is gonna help me to recap the UFC 215 main event, Nunes versus Shevchenko 2, and to take that off the list right away. I'm hurt, my feelings are hurt, and I'm still confused. I'm looking at the scorecards at the moment. It was a close fight, and it went to Nunes by split decision. However, that doesn't mean that we must agree. In my humble opinion, as I just posted on Facebook, I completely didn't agree with that. I think Shevchenko was the more active fighter, and even with the takedowns by Nunes in the 5th round, I think it made look Shevchenko even better because a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt didn't really do anything with the takedown, so it made kind of look Valentina better than it did for Nunes, so I had Shevchenko in my favor, if that's the way you put it. Also we're gonna recap on the week because it has been a busy one, but a quiet one, because I've been busy archiving or rebuilding my archive, as I seemingly always do. You can always improve your archive as a photographer, and I'm switching to a cloud, a server. So I'm gonna have one here, I'm gonna have one at a secret location on this planet, so I can access my photos from wherever I am in this lovely world. On Monday, I had an amazing podcast, a really fun podcast with TJ McKenzie and Anthony, what's his last name? Let me double check. A guy from the Philippines who I don't know, but it turns out we had a great conversation, the three of us, around table. Anthony March, maybe I get him on this podcast as well, because he has a weird passion for shoes and he had some funny opinions, so I am always open for new and interesting guests. And talking about guests, it has been a little bit quiet here over the last few weeks. That is because, as you know, I have been busy traveling around here in Asia for one championship. At the beginning of August, I went to Macau, and then a couple of days later, I went to Kuala Lumpur, and then a couple of days after that, I went to Shanghai, and then I was supposed to go to Jakarta next week, but that got cancelled. My booking, not the event itself. The event itself is still gonna take place on the 16th, I believe. A lot of stuff happening next weekend, but I am not going. Instead, I'm gonna hit the islands here in Thailand. I'm gonna go down south to Samui to record a podcast with a writer who opened a hostel or a hotel on Koh Samui for riders. So I thought that is interesting. She wanted to do a podcast and she also needs a couple of pictures. So we gonna do that next weekend. Before that though, I have a really interesting appointment with a cancer research company, startup. So hopefully there will be more podcasts coming. A little bit more busy back to podcasting after all the photos. I get so good cutting all my M's out, but when you record a podcast spontaneously, they have a huge comeback. Cool. Yesterday I went to Black, a new jazz club here in Bangkok that had its grand opening yesterday, and it was very interesting because I was looking for a spot with good music. So I talked to the owner, Idris, and he said come by, and of course I stopped by, had a couple of beers, and I have to say, a bunch of interesting interactions with funny human beings. There was one guy, he was taking pictures of the event, and I told him, man, I have to talk about you on the podcast. Why? Because he was, and I mean this in a very positive way, the most cliché when it comes to a jazzy art photographer. He was from Belgium, but he has a French accent, he speaks French, and the way he was running around, the way he was talking, it was very cliché. It was a français, a jazz, you need to listen, you need to feel the music, and it was packed. I have to say that it was packed, and I don't think that they saw this one coming, because the venue itself is quite small. They have a little stage at the entry, and it's kind of townhouse style, but very nicely done with nice lights at the stage and great music. However, a lot of people, the bar was a little bit overloaded. Free booze until 9 by Federbräu, which is a German beer. So that made me happy because I'm a German. The bar staff, again, overloaded, but they handled it very professional. So I had a great evening, met a bunch of interesting people, and funny-wise, most of the people I met, 75%, were all so-called photographers. I haven't checked out their work yet, so I am not sure yet if they're really photographers or if they're just people who like taking pictures. In my opinion, there's a huge difference. Hashtag freelance photographer. Hashtag I don't know. On my way there, I was taking the BTS, and there was a blind person coming into the BTS, and that made me thinking, because I was looking around and I saw all the people staring at their phones, and then I was wondering, is there really a big difference of, and this sounds very stupid, don't get me wrong, but let me finish and you will get my idea. Is there really a difference between being blind or just staring at your phone the whole time? Because you miss everything around you, and that made me appreciate, of course, first of all, my eyes working, and second of all, the name I picked for this podcast, Surrounded by Details, because if you stare down on your phone your entire day, you miss the life around you. And it was very interesting for me to see, just to observe how he handles the situation, how he placed himself to remember, okay, this is where the door is, and this is how I stand in the right direction, and amazingly great balance. Because the BTS was packed as well, and he didn't really have a place to hold on. Everybody was busy looking at their phones, so they didn't pay attention to that he might have something to hold on. Because you know how it is. You stand in the BTS, and then it accelerates, and you kind of get caught off balance sometimes. So he handled it very, very well, and yeah, asking myself the question, is it true that handicapped people have a bigger feeling for their senses? I don't know, maybe that's just me being weird, and I'm still a little bit hangover. It was a heavy night, but as I said, it was fun. Just let me know when you are back. Emilio is busy doing laundry. He had a great first fight for one championship. We're gonna talk about that once I have him on, the Honey Badger, because last time we had him on was spontaneously, just as this time, and he was on the toilet. Hopefully I will not have a podcast recording with him on the toilet today. However, he's a cool dude, funny dude, so good person, hopefully, to recap We don't know yet, because that's the first time we actually speak properly to him, and it was about time, because we were supposed to have him on in Kuala Lumpur, where he had his fighting debut for one championship. Didn't really work out, and then we tried to have him on a bunch of other times. Didn't really work out either. He's poison for the podcast. Kabuya. Yeah, building my archive, that's why I left off, I believe. Very important when you are a photographer. You need a proper archive, especially when you shoot over several years. It is, I can't say this often enough, so important to be able to find your pictures and to be able to archive your pictures in a way that you can access them at any time. Because I don't know if you know, but if you sign agreements, I'm not even sure, maybe that changed, but it used to be if you sign agreements for a job, you need to archive your pictures for 5 years so you can access them, and then after 5 years you can basically throw them out the window. But I have a big weakness for images, and I save everything from a snapshot at the grocery store to a proper Red Bull shooting or one championship shooting. I need to change that because I can't do this. I put my hard drives out for sale, my hard disks, in order to put a little bit more pressure on myself to finally get this done, because I keep on pushing this over and over and over again, and then I do a little bit here, a little bit there, but it never gets done properly. And then to my surprise, there were a lot of people interested in my hard disk, so I just had to, I had no choice, because I promised them the hard disk, and I'm a man of my word, so that means get it done. So that's basically what I've been doing the last couple of days and nights. So I wasn't really sure if I actually could go to the grand opening of Black, because I was very tired, and I'm still a little bit tired. I have a little headache, but that didn't keep me from doing what I love, which is podcasting and more photography. And in order to do more photography, I need to get this archive done. Booyah! A lot of M's, I need to cut this out. However, let me know what you have been up to the last week. I would like to get my audience be a little bit more interactive. I receive messages on Facebook and Twitter, even though I don't really use Twitter. So I don't know why people choose that platform. Once in a while I even get an email, but I'm very happy for all the messages, no matter where they come from. Of course, we don't talk millions of messages, but enough to keep myself thinking. I should ask you guys what you have been doing and how you live your life, because it is not only about my guests and me, it is about all of us. So therefore, please make sure to take use or make use of the chat section on the right side here of our live stream on YouTube, if you're listening on iTunes or Podbean, where you can download all our episodes for free. You gotta keep an eye open on my social media, because by now, you know, my podcasts often happen spontaneously. Maybe a good thing, maybe not. Who knows? We are still in the wait for Emilio. Reminds me of the movie A Night at Roxbury, one of my favorite comedies with Will Ferrell. Hilarious movie. And if you haven't seen that, it's a awesome, funny movie. I still haven't seen The War of Planet of the Apes yet, which annoys the shit out of me. I missed it in the cinemas. Now there's no cinema here in Bangkok screening it anymore, and the quality on the World Wide Web is not the best either. So I'm stuck, and I don't like to be stuck. I like to move forward, and moving forward, let me prepare the image for Emilio when he comes on here in a second. Ching, ching, ching. There we go. I'm so bad at doing two things at the same time. That's another thing I need to improve and move forward with. But how to practice that? That's actually a good question. How to exercise to do more things at the same time. For my part, I play a lot of chess to improve my focus. And once I do one thing, I get so focused on that one thing that I often forget to pay attention to the other things I do. So where is this goddamn picture I just downloaded? There it is. Kabuya. Open. Okay, open again. Make it a little bit smaller. Put it in the left corner. I can see it, but you can't see it. Once I hit the transition button, we will all be able to see that. Turn it down a little bit. There we go. God damn it, how long does this guy need for his laundry? It is something that you need to do as well. Laundry and dishes. So much to do on a Sunday. What's happening? There we go. And if you, by the way, want to subscribe to my channels on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter or Facebook, you can see it right here on the right corner of your screen. I'm pointing. There you go. There we go. Done. Yes, with archiving also comes a new website. Not a new website, but a huge update of my website. As I promised, there will be loads of things happening. The t-shirts are about to get online. I'm almost done. So once again, for the first time, my website is gonna be done in time. Also something that I never stop working on. Your website. You need to move with your audience and you need to move with times. So if you do photography, there is no time to sleep when you're freelancing. There's always something to do. If people say they are bored, they have nothing to do and they work as a photographer, sorry, then I don't think you do your job right. Well, I guess there's exceptions to the rule, always. But most of the time there's always something to do. And if you say you have nothing to do, you're bored in Bangkok, then you are definitely too stuck in your little world, because there's plenty of things to do. Yesterday we had the Oshin Cup from Shannon, one championship fighter. He had his first own event. I was supposed to go there. Couldn't really make it because of the archiving, so I'm looking forward to actually rewatch the stream. He was live streaming on Facebook and YouTube, I believe, as well. Good time to recap on this as well. I see that Emilio is back on his phone or laptop. And my Facebook is binging and sounding. I play a little bit more background music here for you guys, so in case I run out of things to say, you can still hear some music. Yeah, I totally forgot where I was going. On Monday I was a guest at the Small Talk podcast with TJ McKenzie. Should be online later today, he said. Unfortunately, because of a storm, there were a lot of cuts in between with the internet connection with Anthony, who is located in Manila. Make sure to tune in. It was a very fun podcast. On Tuesday, the day after, we had the podcast recording of episode number 133 with Anthony Floyd Brady, my buddy. We were recapping on Shanghai, which surprised me. If you haven't listened to that podcast episode, make sure to tune in. Make sure to do this, make sure to do this, make sure to do this, make sure to do a lot of things. I think it is time for Emilio to come on. Let me see if I actually have his number on his phone. I should have. Contacts. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ooh. So where is his number? Should be all the way down, because his last name starts with a U. All right. Call.
บริการค่ะไม่มีเลขหมายที่คุณเรียกกรุณาตรวจสอบเลขหมายอีกครั้ง Sorry the number you dialed is not correct please check
Well, that is not a good start. The number I called is not correct. Wait, can you give me your number? I ask him instead. I must have saved it wrong. Probably was doing something else while I was saving it. Talking about not being able to do two things at the very same time. Come on, man. Come on. Come on. Sometimes I wonder, you type on Facebook or you type a message on WhatsApp or whatever, and you know the person is online, you ask a question and you know the person has seen it, but you don't get a reply. Is that me being impatient, or is that just something that is totally weird? Because a simple question sometimes can take forever to answer. I mean, I'm no exceptions, so maybe I should think of why I do these things sometimes. There we go. Getting the number, but yeah, if it's not me, I get annoyed by it. Okay, I'm just gonna call him on Facebook instead. Make it simple and easy. Now I have to cancel. This is grinding my gear. Why can I not open this message now? It is confusing. Okay, we're gonna do this over WhatsApp instead. Gotta add a contact. Close this and close that. So many things. It takes a little bit longer, but it is Sunday. We all have time. I think most of the athletes are having a day off. I'm relaxed. At least I pretend to be. I always get stressed out because I don't want my audience to get interrupted with this awesome conversation that I'm having with myself. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try this again. There you go. Back. There you go. Kaboom. Now it's Facebook after all.
Hello?
Hello!
Hey, what's going on, brother?
All good, all good. I have a headache. I was out drinking yesterday. How about you? Sunday afternoon? What are you doing?
Good man, good man. That's what we got. That's what Saturdays, that's what the weekends are for, right?
Yes, that is exactly what they are for, especially the Saturdays. Let me put your picture in the live stream. There you go, the honey badger. A lovely photo by David Ash, I believe, when you had your walk-in. Emilio, how is Phuket treating you?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, finally we got you on the podcast. I really said it many times now, but you have been poison for the podcast. It's hard to get you on.
Yeah, I know. I was ready to do. We were gonna do some live sessions too, and then something kept happening. So
yeah,
that's great for you, man.
That seems to be the thing, man. There's always something. But today, I just asked you a couple of minutes ago if you were interested in coming on and recapping the main event of UFC 215 with me. You said I'm all for it, but let me do my laundry first. Did you get that out of the way?
Yeah. I just had to go drop off the laundry real quick Sunday morning, so I want to make sure I get that done. If not,
yeah.
Monday morning I forget. Monday morning I wake up and I got no underwear for training. That's the worst. Training partners would hate me.
Yeah, hashtag fighter problems. But let me ask you a very manly question here before we start. What do you prefer, dishes or laundry?
Oh, laundry.
Laundry, I totally agree. Dishes.
I won't do dishes. I hate dishes with a passion for some reason.
Seems to be a thing for guys. But Emilio,
why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. But that's not the reason why I call you up. We're not gonna talk dishes or laundry. I want to talk about UFC 215, the main event. Did you watch it, and where did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched it at my teammate's house.
Mm-hmm.
We were watching with the whole team, with most of the Tiger crew, a bunch of the fighters and stuff like that. We were watching at one of our friends' house with Alex, Brad, and everybody. And man, it was a great fight. Really, really, really close.
Yeah, I know you train at Tiger Muay Thai, so I can almost guess that your heart was with Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, well, yeah. Whether I would train at Tiger or not, she would have always been a big fan of Valentina.
Mm-hmm.
Probably my favorite martial artist.
How
in
come?
General, like just pound for pound.
How come? Why?
I'm not just talking about MMA.
How come? Why do you prefer Shevchenko over Nunes?
First of all, because Valentina's she's half Peruvian, and I'm half Peruvian, and she represents Peru when she fights. So that's like a given right there, like guaranteed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I've trained with her, man. I've trained with her. I've met her a bunch of times, and spent time with her on the mat, and just she's a beautiful soul, man. She's a real martial artist through in and throughout. It's nothing against Nunez, I don't prefer or not prefer any of them, but I'm just a huge Valentina fan,
Yeah, I'm not a big Nunes fan. She seems to me to be the Tyron Woodley of female MMA, because she's always complaining and she's never happy, and she just got something irritating in her voice. So I'm not a big Nunes fan, I have to admit.
Yeah, especially after pulling out of that last fight, it's hard to.
Oh, dude, that
I don't know. I don't know what was going on with her, with her sinusitis, meningitis, or whatever. But it's not.
Yeah, that she completely ruined my weekend back then, because I was so looking forward.
The nerve of her ruining our weekends like that. How selfish.
How disappointed were you that the DJ and Borg fight didn't happen?
Yeah, I mean, that's all right, but you know what? This is the fight that I was looking forward to all week long anyways, all weekend long. This is the main fight.
Yeah.
Regardless. I feel like this is like the real main event. I feel like the DJ fight, they're just, it would have been cool, he would have broke the record, but I've never even really seen the other guy fight, so it wasn't a really fight I had too much interest in, to be honest,
Yeah, I agree. It seemed to me that nobody really cared if that fight actually happened or not, even though there was a record on the line. But somehow everybody was just focused on this fight finally happening. So let's start at the beginning here. In my opinion, Nunes looked a little bit insecure. She didn't really look like she normally looks, very confident when she walks into a fight. Did that get you thinking that, you're a fighter yourself. Do you pay attention to your opponent's walk-ins? Do you try to read them? # Dr. Phil question.
No, all right, well, when you fight, you don't really, and I'm not looking at him, you don't see him but I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, and sometimes I don't know, I'm wrong a lot, but sometimes you could see somebody walk out, and you could just see when they come out that there's something different, and you kind of know.
Yeah.
Gotten that vibe a lot of times, but then a lot of times I've seen guys come out and I'm like, oh, this guy looks shook. They look defeated already, and they come in there and just smash the person. So you never know, it's a lot of pressure, man. It's the main event. They're in a rematch. Both fighters. It's probably the biggest moment of their life. So I don't know I don't know if you can really judge what's going on. Really, I think until the fight starts, it's hard to tell from the fights. But I did know what you're saying. Like Nunez had she had that thing on her nose, like a little Band-Aid thing to help open up your airways. So it's I don't know, if you're already worried about your cardio when you're walking out and you got your you're trying to open up your nose. I don't know. Yeah, I feel you though. I know what you're saying. I definitely got that vibe that you got. When she was walking out, she didn't look like she normally does. I thought she used to wear the lion. Right? Did she wear the mask last time?
Yeah, she used it for the weigh-ins, which I think you need to do everything possible to distract from the tattoo she has. So probably it would have been better to wear the lion head, because a lot of people, especially that I was talking to, we were just jumping all over that tattoo. But I guess beauty is different from person to person. Do you prefer to walk out first or second? Personal question.
Second.
I was wondering, because we were talking about...
come out second, that's always the best, I think.
Second, okay. So
that's what it would,
Yeah, sorry, there's a little delay here in the Facebook call, but I hope it doesn't interrupt with our conversation. However, round number 1, let's take it round by round. Who did you have in the first round?
In the first round, it was close. Both fighters, I don't know, like the first round was kind of a wash for me. It was hard to tell. They were both like looking for the rhythm. I think Nunez's maybe like her ring control, octagon control in the beginning. She was kind of keeping her feet. She was keeping the center with her length. It looked like it was it looked like she was getting a little bit of the advantage. Just she was getting some range going with her kicks and her straight punches down the middle. But yeah, like you said, you know, she wasn't as she definitely gave they definitely gave each other a lot of respect, which they have to. You know, they're both so dangerous. So the first round in a fight like that, it's gonna be hard to loosen up and open up. So it was kind of like a wash, but I would have to give it to the champ just because she's a champ, and unless you know, like I feel like you gotta beat the champ every round, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I have Nunes on the first round as well. And I was very surprised because normally she's somebody who comes out very strong, especially in the first rounds. But now with the first fight against Shevchenko in mind, she knew that she had to preserve her cardio a little bit, and maybe that is something that American Top Team worked on, because she looked very, very different from what she normally looked like. So maybe she was preparing for going all the 5 rounds. I mean, that's what you have to do when you're the champ.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that 100%. That's definitely one thing you noticed, that for this fight, she was prepared for, you know, like she was ready to like, you kind of can see that she kind of said in her head that this was going to be like a 5. You know, like in her last few fights, she's just going there, just starching these girls. She'll just walk them down, start throwing down, and when she sees the reaction on their faces, when she starts landing, she'll just feed off of that, you know? That happened, I think, in the first fight with Valentina. She imposed her really early on the fight. She got on top, and she started landing some ruthless ground and pound, you know? But she couldn't get Valentina out of there like she got most of the other girls in her career. So for this fight, I think she was specifically training knowing that not to get discouraged if she can't get Valentina out of there. I think she kind of knew she wasn't going to be able to finish her, you know? Like, she was going to have to, like, point her out.
And Shevchenko is
a game plan.
Yeah,
Fought, you know?
Shevchenko is a Muay Thai fighter as well, and in Muay Thai they use the first rounds kind of to test the waters, and then they get stronger and stronger as long as the fight goes. In my opinion, as a photographer, I'm not a fighter myself, but let me ask you this, because I always shit on the people who run out of cardio, because you are a professional, you get paid well, most of them of course, but you get paid, so shouldn't you in all scenarios be prepared for going the distance? Because a lot of people just gas out after 1 round, 2 rounds. You see that especially with heavyweights.
To be honest, man, like
hello.
Yeah, all right. So in the UFC, for sure, you want to say at that level you get paid good money, you know, or like at the high levels, you know, UFC, ONE FC, you know, Bellator. You expect these guys to be like at the highest level and not get gassed, not get tired. But the truth is, you never know what happens. You know, like every fight is different. I mean, I've had fights that I've taken on like short notice, and I think I'm completely out of shape, and I'm able to do 3 good rounds strong. You know, and I've also, my personal experience, had fights where I had the best camp of my life, and after a 3-minute scramble, like I can't even barely keep my hands up, and I don't know what's going on. So with the gassing out thing, I think there's a lot of things with it. You know, like it could be like sometimes it's mindset, it's the pressure. You know, sometimes you get like an adrenaline dump where you'll be like real nervous before the fight. And then you have like the surge of energy, and then it kind of just like goes away, and then you know, so it's hard to tell with the reason. You never kind of know what happened or why somebody got tired. You know, maybe they got injured or they had a flu on fight week and they need the money. They're not going to say anything, so they're going to show up no matter what. You know? So it's tough. It's tough to call. But,
I hear you.
But as a fan, as a straight up, that's just me. Like that's just from the as an athlete myself, that I can understand. Like I've lost fights because I've gotten tired. I've had friends lose fights, and I've won fights because people got tired. So that's just my excuse, you know, like my backup for the guys. But I know what you're saying. As a fan, like it shouldn't be an excuse, you know. Like at the highest level, especially for a championship fight, you should be ready to put on 5-minute rounds. Like people have been doing it for a long time now. It's not like the blueprint isn't out there, you know. If you look at the classics, if you look at the greats, you know, guys like Randy Couture, George St. Pierre, You know what I mean? Jose Aldo, these are guys that have all been, fighting high level, high pace 5 round fights for a long time. So for sure, there's no excuse. I
Yeah.
agree. That's the one thing you don't want to. It's the one thing you can control in a fight.
Yeah.
So I feel like you should always be at optimal shape, guaranteed.
You mentioned the adrenaline dump there. I want to go back to that, and I want to go back to your fight that you had against Kelly earlier, a few weeks before this podcast in Kuala Lumpur, because you signed with One Championship a couple of months before you actually got this fight, and you have been waiting for a fight for a very long time. How did it feel when you finally had the chance to go out there for One Championship and to prove yourself, and how did you feel when you walked in? Can you describe your feelings, what went through your head?
Oh man, for fight week it was man, that was it was an incredible feeling, honestly. I just felt like it was all meant to. It all worked out really, really well. And I don't want to sound like all corny and like say some stupid cliches, but like it just it was just really like just the way my whole career had worked out, and then the process that it led to, and the way it all worked out how it did. It just felt like it was all meant to be. Like I was looking for my 10th pro win. It was going to be my first double-digit win. And it was going to be on the world's biggest martial arts stage. It was like just a culmination of all my hard work and dedication. It was something really special. I don't know how to explain it. Like and the truth is, like I was kind of freaking out. I was nervous. Like, I had been more scared for this fight than I've ever been. Like preparing for this fight was like crazy, but I trained so much, put so much work, so much of my heart and soul into this training and preparing for this, that by the time fight week came, I had no fear, I had no regret, I had nothing but excitement. You know what I'm saying? So it's like weird to explain.
Yeah.
I trained all the fear out of myself, like I would wake up in the middle of the night, like having like dreams about the fight and like dreams of like of me losing or something, and I wake up and I'd be like, oh, I got 2 more weeks.
That is something that really happens, that you actually
like
dream.
Real shit. I'm not fucking around. Like it was like that's how I would be thinking, like training for this fight. Like it's hard. Like I would just try to do whatever. My main thing is always just like try to keep it off my mind. So I like to dumb out right after training.
That's how crazy fighting gets you mentally. Even when you sleep, you can't really escape it, because you can have a bad dream, and I know exactly how they feel when you just wake up. I had this with shooting sometimes. When I get a new big client, I get nervous, and then I dream about messing up the shoot and all this kind of stuff, which is obviously not as physical, dramatic as a fight. But it's amazing how the human brain works.
Yeah, exactly. But that's not true, man. It is just as dramatic, because it is what it is. Like your feelings are as real as they are to you. So it's your profession. You know what I mean? Like I've never done what you've done, so if I would probably be just as nervous as you were for yours. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man. Walking in though.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just coming back to that, walking in, because we talked in the hotel lobby the day after your fight, and I said it to you, and Olivier, the referee, was there as well. I was worried about you in the first round, man. You looked a little bit shaky, but as long as the fight went, as more you got comfortable, and as more you were dominating the fight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. So, if everything felt great, but when the bell rang, I was like a little bit stuck in the mud. It's all right though. But you know what? I'd rather get stuck in the mud like in the first half of the first round than like later on. So I've been kind of like, for sure, I was a little bit slow to start off. The truth is, I just gave my opponent too much respect. Whereas usually, like when I fight, like I'm very aggressive. Like I'm not thinking about anything the other guy is gonna do. I'm just thinking like I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna work my game plan. I'm just gonna try and like run straight through him. That's usually my mindset. And this time for the fight, I was just kind of giving him a little bit too much respect. Where I was just letting him get his game off first. So, like all the things that I didn't want to happen in the fight happened in the first minute. It was kind of funny, It's kind of like meant to be, Even that was like perfect the way it worked out, because those kicks and stuff like that, I have been drilling and training on how to defend those things the whole camp. And in the first minute, he landed about 10 of them, So it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's why you never really can plan for a fight, because you never really know what is about to happen. And let's be honest here, for having a first fight in the featherweight division at One Championship, they didn't really throw you a bone. They throw you a fucking big piece of metal, because you had to fight Edward Kelly, and he is not a no-name. He's a well-rounded fighter. So how did you react when they offered you that fight?
honestly, I was honored because that's the level that I feel I'm at. You know, like when I signed to one championship, you know, I signed to fight the best in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'm not here. I didn't sign. I'm out here now. I'm on the world's biggest stage. I'm here to put on a show, and I'm here to put on a show against the baddest people in the world. You know, straight up. Like I feel like I'm a martial artist through in and throughout. Like regardless of fighting, you know, fighting's cool and stuff. But even if I wasn't fighting, I would still be training every day. I would still be on the mats doing jiu-jitsu every day. I would still be learning and evolving. So for me to fight, you know, yeah, like I want to go in there, and I took it as an honor. You know, like I took it with great pride that I was coming in there. You know, I might have been the underdog. A lot of people might have had it picked, but for me, like it meant a lot because it's like, you know, I was excited to show like my skills, like that I am high level. You know, like I've been waiting a long time to show people what I have and what I'm about. You know what I mean? So,
so who's next for you in the featherweight division? Do you have anybody in mind?
Man, what do you think? I'm down. I'm a little bit confused with the weight classes. Some guys went up, so it's maybe some guys who were featherweight maybe aren't featherweight anymore. But
yeah, they have a different system of weight cutting.
After my last one, it's only up from there, right? So I got to think where I would like somebody ranked above Edward. You know, that's for sure. So well, yeah, man, I don't know, man. I got some names in mind. Like I was looking, like I would love to go to maybe Myanmar.
That is going to happen in November, yes.
Yeah, I was looking at the schedule of Myanmar, November 3rd. Maybe they can give me one of their Chinese guns in Beijing in October. I'll be ready for that. Maybe somebody from Team Lakai wants revenge in November in Manila. What do you think?
Oh man, there are so many options, and I appreciate that you always ask for my opinion. But again, I'm just a photographer. For me, it's all about who would make the most spectacular fight. There's a huge difference for the people who listen to this podcast and who are not really into MMA as much as you or even as me. There's a difference between making matches that are spectacular and actually matches that fit. Sometimes you don't want to overmatch a fight, you know what I mean? I mean, it can still be a spectacular knockout, but it's not really what you should do, because with each fight, each athlete should have the chance to improve a little bit more step by step. I compare that to chess, because in chess, you should not play somebody who's much better than you or much worse than you. You should kind of play somebody who's on roughly the same level and then improve slowly step by step. Because if it goes too far, man, if you go up too fast, the fall is going to be fast as well. So you're going to take it step by step. But the featherweight division in one championship, there's a lot of people that come to mind when I think of Emilio Urrutia. I'm thinking of a Christian Lee. I'm thinking of a Suba, one of the Suba brothers. And then you obviously have Martin Negin, the champ. And then you have Marat Gafurov, who got knocked out. So there is plenty of names and plenty of potential for you to make great fights, man. I'm looking forward no matter where. Beijing, Yangon, Manila, or maybe even Bangkok, man. Bangkok is going to be on the list later in December.
Yeah, December 9 is Bangkok.
But you have been here plenty of times, so maybe not as attractive.
So yeah, I like all the matchups you just named. You know what I mean? I think all those would be great fights. Maybe Singapore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Singapore is your second home. You are there quite often, right?
Singapore is my second home. Besides, you know, between like kind of like split between Singapore and Thailand. You know, so I feel like in Singapore I have a big student fan base. I spent a lot of my career there. That'd be awesome to fight for them in the Singapore show in November, and maybe I'll give me a big name.
Yeah,
you know,
that's Singapore.
Yeah, man. What's it called? I'll be game for that, man. I'll be game for that, for one of the maybe get, you know, top. Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird just with the names to call out. Like I would like to call some guys out, but I don't know if it would be like to call out, you know. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm down for, honestly, man, like I want a big one. Man. I want a former champ, you know.
Oh.
They got
that's big.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I all right, so I got give me a former champ. Give me somebody that. And maybe on the Singapore show, they can give me. I can get a big fight. I don't know, man. I'll fight anybody, anytime. To be honest, so
that's the attitude you should have.
The bigger the fight, the better for me. So the more I would love it. So whatever they have in mind, I'm game for.
Yeah, and
I'm already back training, healthy, 100%, ready to go.
That's insane. Always back to the grind. But I said Singapore is your second home because that is also where you kind of got drafted by Chatri at the Singapore Fighting Championship, you had a fight against Joseph Mercado, if I don't butcher his name, which you won by decision, and you won the belt, I believe, as well. And how did all this going down? How did you actually sign with the One Championship?
Yeah, so it was kind of crazy, man. I was fighting. I had just fought in November, or no, I had just fought in Full Metal Dojo. So then I got offered a main event slot for the bantamweight title in Singapore Fighting Championship in FFC. So then I went to Singapore about a month before that fight to help train with my good friend Luke Adams, who's the coach over there at in Singapore. And then I was getting ready for the fight, and I ended up getting into like a 5-round war. I ended up fighting this beast, man. This guy was like a dark horse, you know. We had a crazy like first 2 rounds, and then just like kind of like after the second round, you know, I kind of just knew. I was like, all right. In my head, I was like, this, you know, like I gotta dig. This is gonna be a war, you know. It was scheduled for 5 rounds, and I kind of like dominated the first round, had him in all types of submissions, and I remember just after like I had him in this submission for. Anyways, it was a long fight. It ended up being like a real crazy like barn burner fight, you know, 5-round war, grind to the end, and. It just so happened that Chachi was there live watching the fight. And actually, after the fight, I was in the ring, and he was the one that put the belt around me. So that was pretty actually amazing experience, man. It was pretty awesome.
I have your share dog.
So I got the owner of the biggest show in martial arts, you know what I mean, putting this belt around me, and then afterwards he told me some very kind words, and some things that I'll cherish that moment forever, man. That was amazing. So a couple of days later, somebody tweeted me out. Victor Q tweeted me out from Twitter, congratulating me on my win, of a picture of me getting my hand raised in the Singapore show, and then my friend got me a contract, and I was boom, ready to go.
There he was. You said it was a very tough fight, and I actually have your share dog in front of me here, and I see you have a lot of wins, but not a but. It sounds very negative, but it's just a question out of pure curiosity. Decision. You have one TKO here. Do you consider yourself as a fighter who is more going for the full fight, for the experience, or do people not really do that? Let me form this differently. How much are you looking forward to another TKO?
Yeah, man, that's my big thing right now. I'm looking for that was my biggest criticism of myself for my last fight, is not getting the finish. You know, that's something I was really working on. I don't know. Just I've gotten into some crazy wars. You know, I feel like when they're there, I'm gonna take them. You know, like I know I got power. I know I have a good submission. So if I feel like if I don't finish the guy, then you know.
Yeah, but a win is a win.
That was fucking tough because I know I'm a beast. You know, so it's like I'm just gonna keep working on it. You know, maybe just believing a little bit more too. Sometimes I think it's all right. I think it'll come around just with experience. You know what I mean? I've had some tough matchups. You know, I know in that Full Metal Dojo fight, I wanted to beat that guy. He was a jiu-jitsu guy, and I kind of wanted to out-jiu-jitsu him, you know? So I think if I could have, maybe I would have kept that one standing.
Yeah, but a win is a win, isn't it, in MMA?
Yeah, for sure, man. And even though I feel like I got some decisions on my record right now, I mean, I feel like they are against tough quality opponents, and I don't think they're very boring fights. I think I always go forward, I push the pace, and I like to throw down, so... I think regardless, the fans are always entertained. You know, I feel like I always fight with my heart and soul, so people can kind of know.
Yeah, you are one of the most passionate fighters I have met, that is for sure. The way you talk about fighting, and you're always critic to yourself, you always try to develop, that's what I really like about you. But we keep on drifting off here because we were actually supposed to talk about the UFC 215. But
go ahead.
Once I have you on the line, I got to make use of the time I have with you here. We talked about round number 1, which you gave to Nunes, I gave to Nunes. What about round number 2 and 3?
Yeah, 2 and 3. I thought I gave them to Valentina. I thought Valentina won. Which ones? 2 for sure. She won round 2. I thought that she was landing all the cleaner strikes. I feel like she kind of like edged out the last. You know, because I feel like Mandy kind of shut it down after the round 2. You know, she wasn't really throwing anymore. And then once Valentina started unloading and countering her, I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird fight. It was hard to judge. You know, Nunes was kind of just walking her down. keeping her back against the fence, and then Valentina was just working her counter strikes, but they were effective. They kept landing, so it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I was wondering if Nunes actually saved her gas tank a little bit.
What do you think for round 2 and 3?
Well, I have Valentina on both rounds, and I said Valentina is gonna win if she survives the first round. So I was pretty happy with it because I was, of course, supporting Valentina as well. But then after the third round, I was thinking, oh, wait a second, Steve-O, maybe Nunes is saving her gas tank a little bit to surprise everybody because, as I mentioned before, everybody knows that she normally comes out strong. And I totally agree. She shut down a little bit. Valentina was more active, landed more significant punches, difficult word for a non-native English speaker, and especially in the third round, I believe, she hit Nunes with the overhand left, and Nunes shook her head like, oh yeah, now that doesn't really hurt, but normally that is the sign for that it did actually hurt. So yeah, I was having Valentina on 2 and 3. Where it really became tricky for me was round number 4, because round number 4 is, in my opinion, the round where everything depended on, because it was very tight, very close. So you could either give a draw, or I tilt a little bit more towards Valentina. Who do you have in round 4?
The round 4, I think that's the one. I thought I had Valentina round 4. It was Valentina 4, and then it's even round 5. It was a tough fight to call, man. It was tough. I feel like they gave each other so much respect that
they take each other out.
It was a tough fight, man. It was a tough fight. I would have took either decision, honestly. I can't argue with either decision. 4. I wish we had a little like a playback. I could look a little bit now.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can.
Yeah, there was one. I was trying to think. 3 or 4. One of them was like a draw. I was gonna give it. I think 3. I thought was a draw, and I think I gave Valentina 4.
Well,
I remember when I was looking at the fight, I thought I gave Nunes a draw. I gave Nunes 1 round, and then I gave Valentina 3, and 1 round was a draw. I thought. So I'm pretty sure round 4 with 3 was the draw. I'm just not sure which one.
Yeah.
And I thought that Valentina landed the cleaner counter shots on rounds 3 and 4.
Yeah.
It was just hard to tell because Nunes did a good job of walking her down, keeping that octagon control. She always kept, Valentina's back against the fence.
I think TJ McKenzie had a good point there, because we were talking. I always type with a couple of different people along UFC fights, and you should be familiar with him. He is training at the Phuket Top Team just down the road from Tiger Muay Thai, and he said something that I think is a very good point. When you fight against the champion, it is not good to be close. You really need to beat the champion. Like, you need to make it visually clear that you beat up the champion, and I think this is what actually cost Valentina the W in the end, that she didn't make it clear enough. I think it was, for a lot of people, her in front of Nunes on the scorecards, but it was not enough for the judges, because you have a little champion bonus. It's like when you have a contest, there's always a kids bonus when younger kids participate, and in fighting, it's like the champion bonus. If you are the champion, you have a little bonus of that you actually need to be beaten visibly more than others.
However, boom. See, I agree. That's why I don't disagree with the decision. Like, I feel like same thing. Even though technically and tick for tack, I think Valentina for sure won that fight. Maybe for sure won that fight, but. Nunes is the champ, and when you to beat the champ in the decision, you got to go in there and like Cain Velasquez like Cain Velasquez did to Junior Dos Santos. You kind of got to go in there and make a statement and beat him decisively.
Exactly.
I feel like if it goes close to the champ for a reason. So that's like I feel like if maybe it's like an unspoken rule, but I definitely agree with that rule as well.
What about
if it was close? That's the reason why you can't let it be close in a championship fight when you're the contender.
Yeah. What about round number 5? Because that clearly went to Nunes because of the takedowns. First of all, you have to land a takedown, but in my opinion, it actually made Valentina look better than it did make Nunes look better, because Valentina was defending very well, and as a hashtag not a native English speaker. As a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, you are kind of, supposed to take the lead on the ground. But Nunes didn't really do anything with her takedowns. And as I said, Valentina defended very well. So I think those, once they hit the floor, once they hit the canvas, that Valentina actually was a little bit more impressive because of how she handles this, the situation. How much do these takedowns play into the scorecards of the judges, in your opinion?
Well, for like the UFC rule set, I'm a fight, and I don't know, like it's another thing too. Like when you look at the fight as a whole, when you look at the whole game, the wrestling and the striking, that's gonna play a big part on a fight that's very, very even. You know, because you got two people who are like barely scoring on each other on the feet. If there's gonna be a dominant exchange in the grappling, then it's gonna weigh big favors for the whoever's. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally.
Whoever gets the hold up. So that's another. Yeah, I see. That was a big deciding factor, man. It's kind of crazy that after 25 minutes of fighting, that takedown really might have been the deciding factor on who won or lost.
Yeah. It was a super close fight, man. And but however, I cannot disagree with what Valentina said in the end. I think after all, again, I'm not a professional, but Valentina looked more effective. She was more busy than Nunes was. She landed more punches. Yeah. Also, visibly, Nunes' face was a little bit more mashed up. I think Valentina had the W. How likely do you think there's a difference between what you would like and what you think is actually going to happen? The trilogy.
Yeah, I think it's up to Valentina because what's it called? She could probably go down in the weight class if she wanted, or she could stay.
But who else is there in that weight division?
I don't think there's anybody. There's nobody. I don't see anybody else in that division besides them two right now that can really hold up. So even if they don't do a rematch right away, I feel like Valentina can go out. She can win another fight. 3 months, easy, no time. Before the end of 2018, that rematch could be in play if Nunes is still the champ.
Yeah, I agree. It's there is nobody really there in that division that could take that spot of a #1 contender. So I think Valentina should.
Because, yeah, just
here's a pun for you. It's kind of
weird because Nunes and Valentina have beat all the other ranked opponents in that division like very decisively, you know.
Here's a pun for you. I think Valentina should stick to her guns because that is the only fight that makes sense, is a trilogy fight against Nunes. That's what I want to see, and I think that's a lot of other people would agree with that. There is no other fight to make except for this third fight.
Yeah, it's the two best women fighters, best representation for MMA too, man. So the third fight would be great for sure. Yeah, third fight would be unbelievable. I'll be game for that. Yeah. I'm sure the whole world would, man. I'm sure everybody would. This last fight was so close. With these close fights at the high level, that's crazy how tight the sport is. You know, at the highest level, when you get two people so well matched, you know, it's sometimes you need to run it back a few times to get the true result. You know, it's like the NBA finals, like in basketball, that they run 7 games just because on any given day anybody can win. You know, it's the margin for error is so small.
Yeah, on that level, I totally agree. It's you must have your perfect day. There cannot be the slightest little thing interrupting your day. Let it be a relationship, or let it be that you ate something wrong. That is something that I would be super worried about, to eat something that fucks my stomach up, especially when you fight in Asia, man.
Dude, that's always my biggest fear fight week. It's just not getting sick, you know? Like that's always my biggest shit. I don't even want to talk about it because I've been good so far, you know?
Yeah, but in Asia the risk is very high to actually eat something wrong or get food poisoning, because that is when you come to Asia as a tourist or as a backpacker, everybody kind of gets it. And once you had it, your stomach gets more tolerant towards these things, but yeah, especially when you travel a lot, it's very tricky. Different time zones, aircon, heat, all these kind of different things influence how your body reacts, especially during fight week where you have to do media. That's something else I wanted to ask you really quick before we slowly take this to an end here. How did you enjoy the fight week itself? Because now you have a lot of obligations with one championship. There's media days, there's interviews, there's workouts and all this kind of stuff. Did that distract you from your fight, from your focus, or did you enjoy it?
Oh no, I enjoyed it, man. It was great. Yeah, we had a great time all week, man. That was like kind of like the fun part about it, you know. I was just there I was there, one of my best friends, we were just there with Joe Ray, getting paid to train and have a good time, So we were living the life, man, living the dream. It was awesome. Just embraced it all, I had fun with it, just making jokes the whole time, keeping it light, just enjoying the process, It's only, opportunities like this and experiences like this are only going to happen for a short period of time. So when it's there, I just try to embrace every moment of it, love and sink it all in, enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah, and you didn't stop after the fight because you went straight on to Myanmar. One of your friends were fighting Lethwei. And how did you enjoy the switch from MMA to Lethwei?
Yo, straight up, this is my disclaimer for any MMA fighter who thinks, or anybody who thinks they're tough or whatever sport they do.
Yeah,
I was like, hey, you might be badass, you might know your shit, but if you haven't fought Lethwei, that's like the kings of the king. Those are like the top dogs when it comes to combat fighting. That is the most ruthless, craziest sport of fighting I've ever seen in my life. It was so crazy to watch. We had 3 teammates fighting for world titles.
Whoa.
And we had 3 draws because in Lethwei rules you can only win by KO. Okay, so if the fight goes to the decision, which is 5 3-minute rounds, it's a draw. So all 3 of our guys fought to draws. I thought they won, but on points, but there's no points in Lethwei, so they just had 3 wars. It was kind of awesome, man. Just to see the headbutts, no gloves. It was crazy. And Myanmar itself is just a beautiful country that loves fighting, by the way.
Yeah,
I want to go to Myanmar, man, and build a fan base. That's what I was trying to do over there. It's beautiful over there.
Yeah, Myanmar is a great market. I totally agree, man. Myanmar is one of the best markets to build a fan base because they just start to get into MMA and they have Lethwei. They like fighting. It's a perfect place to be, man. I'm always happy when I'm over there shooting for the World Lethwei Championship.
They love one championship in Myanmar. All over Myanmar, everywhere we went, when I had my one championship shirt, they asked me about, I had the stitches in my face. So they kept asking, like, what happened to your face? And they would ask if we're a fighter. And I say, yes. They asked me where. I say, one championship. Boom. They knew right away. They were asking me about the Burmese python.
Yeah, Ong La.
Talking about, they love MMA here. Like, I'm telling you, every single person we met either knew about the Lethwei fight, our friends that fight Lethwei. One of our friends at Tigers, the world champ, Dave Leduc. So they all either knew about Lethwei and MMA. It was crazy. I'm telling you, Myanmar is where it's at. It's a beautiful country.
Yeah.
It's like Thailand. I'm telling you, man. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever visited.
Yeah, you see, when I wear my one championship shirt in Myanmar, they ask me exactly the same 2 first questions. One championship, MMA, blah, 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 and do you fight? But I have to answer, no, I'm the photographer, and that is where the conversation stops. Nobody gives a shit about photos.
Yeah, they fucked up. They should have had you get a photo of their spot,
Yeah, maybe I should just put fake stitches in my face so I look like a fighter, but I actually undercover as a photographer.
Nah, you'll be all right, man. You just go around with the camera, and then you could hook them up with some nice photos.
Yeah, talking about photos,
did you go Myanmar when you were there?
Huh?
Did you go around and visit?
Oh, dude, everywhere. I did a story about the fishermen on the Inner Lake. I'm there quite regular because I shoot for another promotion, the World Lethwei Championship, which is, rumors have it, gonna have the event very soon. They were supposed to have an event at the beginning of September, but they had to postpone it because there was the swine flu going around in Yangon, and they were a little bit too scared to hold the event. So yeah, man, Yangon is a beautiful place. When it comes to Southeast Asia, my 2 favorites are Myanmar and Laos when it comes to nature and traveling. But for living and just being as a photographer, there's nothing that really beats Bangkok, because Bangkok is a concrete jungle, man.
Bangkok's crazy. I like Phuket, but Bangkok is gangster.
Yeah.
I can only handle Bangkok for like 3 days. And then I feel like I need to get out of there and take 10 showers.
Yeah, I was very close to come down to Phuket because Mitch Chilson is down in Phuket right now. He's training. He's the color commentary of One Championship. I was supposed to meet him, but then I had a client, rescheduling their 1-day appointment into 2 days. So now I can't really make it happen. But hopefully I will make it down soon.
I just trained with Mitch on. I trained with Mitch on Friday night.
Yeah, I saw a picture on Facebook. Not
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, it was great to see him, man. We tried it up. Yeah, I told him I want to show him around, show him the haps of Phuket, you know.
Yeah,
show him the insider look, not the tourist side. You know,
thank
you. Phuket.
Thank you very much. That is what I like to hear, not the touristy stuff. I already advised him to take a float. He has been trying to float a couple of times, but then the float center in Manila closed down. And now I forwarded him to the Indigo Float Center. Joe and Steven from Primal FC are running the place. So floating is something that you need to try at least once. So yeah, hopefully he will enjoy that. One last question, Emilio, before I let you go and enjoy your Sunday and the rest of your laundry. You told me that you were out in Myanmar with Lethway and you were doing some drone action. You were filming. Have you gotten into media? What happened?
I'm sorry.
I said I was just referring to the comment that you wrote to me when you were in Myanmar for the Lethway event. You were out flying drones in Myanmar, which is not really legal. What happened, and did you survive?
We made it, brother. We made it.
Yeah, maybe you become a photographer one day.
I don't want to incriminate myself. You know what I mean? So I don't know what you're talking about. But I'll just put it like this: we knew the king. All right. So when you know the king of Lethway, we knew the world. We came with the world champ. So our friend Dave Leduc. So all we had to do was just say we knew the king. And they kind of like just let us. I'm just kidding.
No, but that's the champion bonus that you get. And as you said, you didn't really do anything illegal. We never talked about this. This conversation never really happened.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, dog.
Emilio, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast on short notice, and I really enjoy doing a little UFC main event, UFC 215 main event recap with you. And I also enjoyed to hear your thoughts about your first fight for one championship. Many more to come. How many fights did you sign for one championship, if I may ask?
Yeah, I have a six fight contract.
Mm-hmm.
1 down, 5 to go. So I'm really excited, man. You know, like, hey, everybody knows I'm always ready. I always come fit, ready to go, put on a show, and I'll fight anybody, anytime. So, you know, give me one of the top 5 in the division, and let me show everybody what I'm made of. You know, I would love to. It'd be an honor to fight for the Asian fans, and I'm kind of like the foreign Asian guy out here, you know, so I'm going to represent for us, you know.
I can't wait to see that. Ladies and gentlemen, Emilio Urrutia, the Honey Badger, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
All right, much love, brother. Be easy. We'll talk soon.
Talk soon. See ya.
Chok D.
Boom. There he goes, ladies and gentlemen. The Honey Badger, always fun to talk to. And finally, we made it happen. We got him on the podcast. That took a long time, maybe a year. I mean, we had him on before, but first time he was... no, that's not true. I think we had him on one of my MMA Sundays that I brought to life, and then I killed it pretty quickly because it's very tough to keep up with all the different fighters and to schedule all that when you are a freelance photographer and travel around in Asia. But from time to time, we still have MMA fighters on the show, of course, because I'm very busy in the scene. I really started to love the sport, also Lethway. So tune in if you want to have some MMA news or hear MMA fighters talk about their fights and a bunch of other shit. I mean, stuff. Oh wait, we're allowed to swear on this podcast. Yes, we're allowed to do everything because it is my podcast. I can do whatever I want. Maybe next time I record a podcast episode naked. Maybe not. Maybe that was just too weird because I didn't know what to say. However, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to another Surrounded by Details podcast episode, number 134. We are heading straight to 150. Can't wait. There's going to be loads more. We're going to have a bunch of interesting guests coming up over the next couple of weeks. We're going to be more busy again after I have a couple of weeks off before I go and hit the airport and the skylife again. Who knows what's next? Life is a surprise itself as long as you keep your mind open to it. So with that being said, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe to Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, where you can download all our episodes for free, audio only, except for YouTube. yeah, and hit the subscribe button, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, because that's the only way we can improve. If you don't let us know what you think, we cannot adjust. Just in case, you didn't really hear what I said about where you can download all our episodes, make sure to go on my website www.stevebonhage.com, STEVBONHAGE.com, where you can find the finest MMA photography, maybe the best MMA photography in the world, maybe even the universe. Only you, the audience, can tell, because beauty is different from person to person. With that being said, check out my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, @SteveBonhage, STEVBONHAGE. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your Sunday. I'm out and about, and what am I gonna do? I'm gonna keep on archiving, my friend, because you gotta do what you gotta do, and I gotta turn down all those window captures and laptop cam and all this kind of stuff before I hit the transition button. That is the wrong one. There you go. Take this one down. Transition. Not yet. We need to take this one down as well. And then we need to take this one down as well. Dude, we started this podcast awkward and we finish it awkward. If we do things, we do things 100%. My name is Stevo. Thank you for listening to the Surrounded by Details podcast. I'm out.